Hello, everyone. This afternoon is the afternoon of silly double-barrel surnames. I won't tell you my story of why I ended up with this curse, but everybody calls me Graham. I'm going to talk to you. Zap? Oh, there's a zapper. I'm going to talk to you about customer journeys. I've been in digital for 25 years. I remember the days of FreeServe, and if you've been in digital, you know about customer journeys. It's a phrase often talked about. But it's only when I started changing a subprime lender in 2013, when the FCA took over consumer credit, that I started understanding the fundamental nature of customer journeys. And over that period of time, actually, all we ended up doing as a management team was customer journeys. Fundamentally, our business was a whole host, hundreds of customer journeys, and our success as a business, commercially with our customers, with our regulator, was about these customer journeys and optimizing them. And it was about understanding them, controlling them, and designing them, because if you don't design them, your customers will design them. And so let's start about and think about what is a customer journey. Every customer journey has a trigger. It has something that sets it off. And it ends up in an outcome, hopefully an outcome that you are trying to get that customer to. It has a short-term outcome, and it has a long-term outcome. Regulators worry about the long-term outcome. Commercially, you're probably more focused on the short-term outcome. It has a happy path, and it has many other paths. So let's take a journey. Let's take the collections journey. You've just got a portfolio and you want to start collecting credit. The trigger. What's the trigger? Trigger is you've loaded it into the dialer. There's your trigger. That started the journey. Outcome. Short term, you've set up a plan. Good. Long-term outcome, they've paid off the plan. Happy path. That's a really good happy path. And everybody, when they design their journeys, pretty much go for the happy path. And I imagine you will recognize in your business, you'll have stood in front of the whiteboard saying, okay, customers here, and you do this, and then we send them this, and then they do this, and they fill in this data, and you can design the happy path. The problem is happy path is only one path. And the power of the journey is to understand all of those other paths that exist within the journey. When I describe our business, and one of the hardest things to describe what PrinSIX is, PrinSIX is a digital orchestration platform. We orchestrate, we sit over all of the elements of a business in order to coordinate all of those components to create high-performing, very simple, intuitive journeys for clients, customers. So people go, journey orchestration. Oh, you're a digital workflow, because customer journeys are workflows, aren't they? No, they are not workflows, okay? Workflows are introspective. They're businesses looking internally to themselves. They are process-focused. They treat the customer like a user, and they expect the user to adapt to their workflow. Now, workflows do define customer journeys, but typically not in a positive way. My parents are aging, and so I have a power of attorney. And I had to register that power of attorney with E.ON, their electricity provider. They've got solar, and so they have feed-in tariffs. I had about 4 telephone calls to get that to happen. Their customer journey was Google Forms, okay? I was on the phone 4 times, it failed 3 times, I ended up on Google Forms. I wanted to pay the feed-in tariff into their bank accounts. At the end of this process, they've started sending me the check. That's a great process. Someone will have designed that workflow, and it'll look great on a whiteboard, but as a customer journey, it's appalling. So what are the components of a customer journey? Every single customer journey will be a mix of 3 components. There will be the bit that faces the customer, typically 2 pieces, UX and communication. There will be an operational piece, around tasks and activities that your teams will need to do, and there will be analytics and data. And where they intersect, operations and customers meet within contact centers, customers and analytics meet within decisioning, and analytics and operations meet in process automation. And it is by designing all of those components that you get a proper customer journey. Now, typically, when you design that with technology, actually what you're having to do is coordinate an awful lot of internal and external systems, silos of data. So if you are building let's say, a lending journey, you will probably use credit bureau data, you might use open banking, if you want to do AML checks, you'll do PEPs and sanctions, you may do selfie checks and biometric checks. All of that needs coordinating, but ultimately you're trying to coordinate all of it and all of these components to create this intuitive customer journey. Journeys must be, firstly, trackable. Number of businesses we meet where they have no idea what's going on in that journey. They don't know. They hopefully know what's going in the top, and they hopefully know what's coming out the bottom. But they have no idea what's happened to the people who don't emerge out the bottom. And they should be measurable. And that is basically, you've got KPIs and performance against these journeys. And the measure of journeys is, of course, number one measure is conversion. How well are you converting your designed journeys through to get them to an outcome that you want? Now, that outcome, let's go back to my old world of lending. That outcome could be you'd lend to them or you wouldn't lend to them, but maybe you lend them, but you don't lend them quite as much as you want. Or maybe you refer them to somebody. There are multiple outcomes. Now, those are all good outcomes if you are understanding the customer. Those are all good outcomes, and so that will be a positive conversion. The problem is the abandons, and that is not a good outcome for anyone. So because of the complexity of individuals, you need them to be adaptable. The big problem with journeys today, and the big problem we had as a lender that inspired me to create PrinSIX, was the technology wasn't good enough. The technology, you'd go to IT, and I'm not criticizing IT. IT is built to create something and make it really stable, and it just works. The problem with customer journeys is you don't want it to be stable. You want to change it all the time, and you want it to be adaptable, and you want to tweak it. And anybody who works in a digital philosophy knows this continual optimization. IT hate continual optimization. I imagine you've all got IT teams. Is there anybody here who has got an IT team who has sent them an email recently and said, "Hi, we've got nothing to do. Is there anything you need us to deliver?" They don't. Unfortunately, the problem with IT is it fills the space, and you will always have a backlog. And the problem with journeys is they're not big strategic changes. They're typically, you'll have in the backlog an awful lot of journey stuff because they're typically small pieces that would add, but they never get to the top of the queue. And they should be personal. They should be specific to the individual. And actually, Kevin would talk about AI, and we believe too that AI has this ability to do cohort of one. The challenge back to typical journeys today is they're one size fits all. And our view is it's one size fits no one, because actually it's kind of, and so you need to, journeys should be personal. It could be digital, it could be a person, but they should be critical to the person you're talking to. Now we help regulated businesses and unregulated businesses. For every single one of those businesses, being personal is powerful. For a regulated business, being personal is critical. Because that's the expectation of the regulator, that you understand the person and the complete circumstances of that individual before you serve them. So one size fits all doesn't work. And we found that if you don't make them personal, and you put all through the same journey, what happens is you create so much friction that you lose so many people along the way because you're asking them all questions that you always work into the lowest common denominator. And so it has a direct impact on customer outcomes, and it has a direct impact on commercial outcomes. Key barriers to customer journeys. One is culture. Biggest one is culture. Being introspective, worried about cost savings. And to be clear, cost savings are important. You get your customer journeys right, you save money. But worrying about internal process, worrying about cost, looking introspectively, and trying to do big changes that will kind of step change everything. If you want to improve your customer journeys, you won't improve it by doing 1, 2, 3 things. You'll improve it by doing 30, 40, 50, 60 things. We improved our conversion by 300% on customer acquisition. That's a big number. Did we do 3 things that changed it by 100% each? No. We probably did 1,000 things that changed it by 0.5%. But as you get the marginal gains, David Brailsford and marginal gains, and they compound, it works. But you need a culture to focus on that level of change, obsessive change. You need a culture that is exposing customer journeys and is considering customer journeys and is focused on those. And it's a difficult position to get to, but it is so valuable. Technology is a barrier, as I say. It's all hard-coded. I used to I had a great analytics team, a great marketing team, and great technology team. Analytics and marketing guys would know from a journey perspective what they wanted to do. And they would brief it in, and technology would say it would take 8 weeks to build it, and then 12 weeks later we launched it. And the analytics and digital marketeers looked at it, and within about 5 days, they worked out what worked and worked out what didn't work. And then they went to IT and said, well, that works, but that doesn't work. So can you change that? And the IT, oh, we've only just delivered it, and you want to change it again. So the technology is hard. There is some fantastic technology out there that you can integrate into your journeys. As I said, selfie checks, biometrics, document uploads. It will save time. It will make it easier for the customer. But that's the sort of thing that's stuck in backlogs, because actually integrating it in and working out how you do it is really, really hard. And so it has to be better. There has to be a focus on improving technology to make it fast and adaptable. And the final point, again, that goes on, is fragmented and siloed data. Journeys should all be based on analytics, and our paradigm shift was typically in a credit situation, the journey drives a fixed set of data that goes to analytics, and analytics can say yes or no. Our paradigm shift is that actually analytics should drive the journey, and so analytics can control what it needs to do to understand each individual customer and get to and get that level of deep understanding. But that means you have to liberate that fragmented and siloed data that sits through your business. But if you can liberate that and deploy it, then you can create very, very rich customer journeys. How do you understand your journeys? You understand them, well, the best route is your teams. And I'm sure everybody who has sat in an operational environment or with call centers or anything like that, and the teams will tell you what the journeys are around the customers who have ended up here and who couldn't do it. I'm quite sure you'll have seen the teams. I remember systems didn't talk to each other, so every single agent had 3 screens on their desk, because the only way of integrating 3 systems was by the agent going across the 3. So there's an awful lot of insight into your teams. Analytics, that gives you a lot of customer things. In terms of funnel performance, journey performance, look at where the drop-offs are. And there are some really cool specialist tools out there. which will take some really granular log-level data, IT log, and it will use very clever techniques to actually unpick the person who was on the website, who'd logged onto the website, who had then stopped and abandoned there, but then they called the call center over here, and then But I'd have to say, you have to go a long way before to get to that point. There's so much value in the data you've got in your business and in the teams that you have. And as I say, obsess about marginal gains. Don't worry about the happy path journey. That's the easy one. Worry about all the sub-journeys that sit for everyone that doesn't fit the happy path journey. Understand those, build out those sub-journeys so no one gets lost. You want to get everybody to a point where you want it to be. Worry about the dropouts. Worry about the ones that disappear. Understand the friction that is. Be obsessive about removing friction within a journey. We do something within our journeys for our clients where if they're doing open banking on a desktop, we serve a QR code that they can scan and we move them onto their mobile phone because we know conversion on a mobile phone because of biometrics and banking apps is superior than it is if you use it if you try and get them to log in as though they're logging into their bank account on a desktop. Now, that's not, it doesn't treble stuff, but it's powerful. And we know that that's a drop-off point. So we remove an area of dropout. And get rid of the manual workarounds. My ops team they felt dumped on all the time because, we didn't quite get it into the sprint, but, we'll do that manual workaround that. Manual workarounds are a failure of journeys. It puts friction in, it slows things down, it's inefficient. If you have manual workarounds, you should obsessively try to get rid of manual workarounds. The only reason an agent should get, or a human being should get involved is because they're adding real value to that engagement. Then they should not be. We were speaking to a big catalog retailer who does credit, and they're using open banking in order to look at to do some triaging of vulnerability. They had 7 people, and bear in mind this is inflow. This is inflow in a journey where you're at checkout, okay, I want to take out some credit. They hit certain thresholds, they put that cohort into a pot where 7 people were manually reviewing their open banking data to check, had they got payday loans and were they gambling a lot? Policy rules. And they were taking something that was supposed to be inline and seamless and making it a 48-hour process because the technology wasn't working properly. And make it personal. Because if you make it personal, you will remove friction for everybody. Everybody gets a separate journey. And often when you talk about customer journeys, people think, it's all very nice, Julian. It's a bit fluffy, though, isn't it? Marketers love customer journeys, customer experience. But we found directly and fundamentally changes economic models. Everybody's economic model has got 4 components. Customer acquisition. Customer acquisition you either go out and you seek customers, you pay money for them, and converting customers better means that your marketing budget goes further and your number of customers that you've got increases, so it directly grows your revenues. As I said, we increased customer conversion by 300%. You can imagine the impact that had on our economic model. Customer lifetime value. Customer lifetime value, how much money will you release from this customer? In a construct, that sounds exploitative. I don't mean it like that. What's the value of this customer to you? And the value of this customer to you should be a measure of your value to them. And if you want to maximize that, you want to minimize churn, you want to avoid them disappearing, and you want to make it as easy as possible for them to come and ask for extra services from you. That means you want simple journeys from a service perspective, so you're not giving them a reason to abandon and go somewhere else, and it means you're making it as easy as them to get more services from you when if they need it. An example of this, we have a client who every year does a price increase, and historically they would send them a letter saying, "Hi, this is it's a telco. This is your service. We're going to put it up by 3.9%. Call the call center if there's a problem." Call center, when this letter went out, just after that letter went out, would have 35% abandon rates, and reason to go out and search for another broadband provider. We created a digital journey around that. We understood each individual customer. We understood the technology to the green box, fiber or copper. We understood fiber or copper to their home. We knew what they were on in terms of a contract. We knew what they were on in terms of packages, and we sent a journey that basically said, "Hi, your price is going up, but if you click here for another £2.50 and you recontract us, you can go from 500 meg to a 1 gig pipeline." Instead of abandons, we got a 16% uplift, 16% upgrade. So a bad news story became a good news story for them. And then the final thing down here, obviously, the better you understand each customer individually, the better you can understand the risk. And if you do all of this in a way that's low friction, you will do it efficiently and you will save money. We've had journeys that have turned 6-week processes into 5 minutes, taken 90% of the cost out. So journeys are not just customer experience, journeys are about optimizing your economic model. That's me.
Cheers, Julian. I think one question I had, sorry, I'll get to these afterwards, is the balancing act between when does an individual customer journey become one that you need to create a process for? What level do you go down to? Do you work on percentages? So the easy customer journeys you do first, then you work your way down. How would you go about doing that?
Well, I think you describe those almost as discrete concepts, but they're not. They're the same thing. When I go to my map and I talk about customer journey is not about UX. When we talk about customer journey, we think website. Yeah. Customer journey is this combination. And so those processes you're talking about should be designed to get the customer from A to B.
Yeah.
And if you do it in a really smart way, then you can do that in order to drive efficiency, because efficiency speeds things up, and customers like fast journeys, they don't want slow journeys. So you want to do those, and it can do those together and optimize the whole thing together.
Cool. And then the second question on here kind of leads into that a little bit. What are the biggest blockers for successful customer journeys?
Data and technology. Data, can you see what's going on within your journeys? Can you see the drop-off points? Especially if you've got journeys that span different systems, and actually tying all of that data together, really hard. There's tools out there you'll be familiar with around things like Google Analytics. You go, oh, we've got Google Analytics. We can see when people are landing on a web page and where they're going, things like that. Google Analytics, though, is a summary, and it tells you that 10% of customers, 50% land here, and then 10% go here, and then 5% go here. It doesn't give you the journey of each individual customer, so you can't unpick the journey. You need the data at a unique level so you can understand the pieces, and you need then the technology in order, once you learn, that you can change it and adapt it in order to improve those journeys.
Okay, cool. And I think reframing this one a little bit, conversion rate is more important than customer satisfaction. Do they kind of go hand in hand?
Yeah. Or? No, I don't believe it's one or t'other. I think our experience is that conversion, if you optimize conversion, the best way of optimizing conversion is to remove friction. If you remove frictions, customers hate friction. If you remove friction, you'll get better customer satisfaction.
Cool. harking back a little bit to the presentation for this morning, should or could customer communities be a prime source for understanding your journeys?
Yeah, look, I think they're a great source. I mean, the FCA, the FCA says the reason why you should, when you have a complaints processing, you should understand the complaints. And complaints are a great source of insight into journeys and journeys failure. And so in the same concept, in the same context, communities, if you listen and unpick communities, you will find out. There was an example earlier around what was the thing? How do you get your pack, whatever it's called, pack number for mobile? Isn't that interesting that people are really struggling? And why isn't there a journey within your key account area that go, oh, can I have my pack number, please? Great insight, and you solve it by doing sub-journeys.
Yeah, and when you put scale through it and give people the voice or the opportunity to elaborate on what they're thinking and what they need to do, it helps with that journey, because you might, or two probably might not have thought about that customer journey because they'd be focused on acquisition or billing or any issues related to that. But actually, with such a massive database
that's a really interesting journey, because if you think about it, and I guarantee if you put analytics into it, that's a great indicator of the fact that of churn.
Yeah.
Okay. So encourage them to tell you that they want and then you can intervene. Say, well, why do you want that? Can I do anything? What can I do to keep you? You do that, then you optimize your lifetime value of the customer.
Yeah.
So it's a good example where if you think that you can, poker tells. If you look at these journeys, there's an awful lot of tells within the journeys. I was talking earlier. One of the key journeys when it comes to reducing arrears is the re-established direct debit journey. If you want people to stop falling from one cycle down to two cycle down, get very, very good at re-establishing direct debits. But that isn't classically talked about as a collections journey.
No.
So you can use all these other journeys in order to understand root causes and then, again, drive that economic model and better customer outcomes.
Perfect. Thank you. I think we're moving on to a break now. Thank you, Julian.